Salam Hafteh. I would like to thank you on behalf of Frey Productions for allowing me to come to your house and interview you. I know you for over 27 years, when you were just a little girl. But you are always the same Salam, sweet Salam. Thank you for that. So, can you tell us what you do for a living? Why don't to start with?
Sure. So I'm in education.
Okay.
And my focus or my work has been for the past 7-ish years is really helping students not only get into college, but also successfully complete their degrees.
If not mistaken, the first time you were working a lot with students in high school. And now you're working with students who are in universities to complete their studies. Beautiful. You know that we want our kids to join university and succeed and graduate. And also our kids are looking for that. So the parents can get advantage from this interview, and also the young people who want to join university can take advantage. What does a student have to do while he or she is in high school to join a good university?
Sure. So there's 5 components to a college admission application.
Okay.
The first is your grades or your transcript.
Okay.
The second is your extracurricular activities, so the things that you're doing outside of class.
Okay.
The third is your essays. So there's different writings that you'll need to submit. Then the fourth is your teacher recommendations. And the final is your standardized test scores, so your SATs or ACTs. So those are the 5 things that are part of your application.
Perfect. So can we talk about each and every one of them, like the 5 ones? Let's start with academics. Tell us a little bit deeper. What is required from a student in high school to get good academics?
Sure. So there are 2 things really when we talk about academics.
Okay.
One, you should have a strong transcript, meaning you have good grades.
Okay.
The second is you should also challenge yourself. So if there are challenging courses, like advanced courses, pre-AP, AP, pre-IB, honors courses, you should take advantage and challenge yourself so that you can take those courses and get ready for the rigor that you'll have at college.
So it's good to get a AP class with a higher a B or C than taking a normal class with an A. What do you think? How do they evaluate it at the end?
So let's say if you experience a struggle in a class. Let's say you're taking AP Calculus, for example.
Okay.
And your first semester, it's very tough. Maybe you fail your first test. Now, what's great, what colleges would like to see is, what did you do from there? Did you ask your teacher for help? Did you talk to, your counselor? Did you take advantage of different resources such as Khan Academy online to get more supplemental instruction? And maybe you raised that F, or hopefully it was an F, but that's okay if it was an F, but you raised that grade up to a C or to a B. So colleges like to also see growth. So if you can show growth, that's great. I would say don't drop your rigor if you can still do well in that course after working with your teachers or your counselor to improve. However, if you know that you've tried everything that you can, you've done all of the supplemental instruction, you've gotten all the help possible, but you still can't pull your grade to a passing grade, to at least a B, then maybe have a conversation with your counselor about what's a more appropriate level for you. Maybe it's not taking an AP class, maybe it's something a step down. But you want to match and see, where am I going to challenge myself, but I'm also able to still understand the concepts and do relatively well in the class.
Salam, this generation now, most students don't want to challenge themselves. There are a lot of games to play, a lot of things like it's much easier to spend your time with the gadgets than study or work hard. On the other hand, also there is a limit. Like you don't want to push yourself more than you can, right? There is a threshold. So what do you think about this? So how do you see this?
Life is all about challenges, right? So in college, you're going to be challenged. it's important that you exercise those muscles now in high school so that when you experience them in college, you know how to overcome those challenges. But you want to also be thoughtful, right? In the same way that a rubber band can be stretched, there's a point where if you stretch it too much, it'll break. So you want to stretch it, but when you recognize, hey, there's some tearing happening, let's stop pulling, right? And let it be comfortable at where it's stretched to its most. So really thinking about, I want to challenge myself, but I also don't want to challenge myself to the point where now all of my other classes are suffering.
Okay, so the first one we said is academics.
Mm-hmm.
Next one was, you said, the extracurricular
Mm-hmm.
activities.
Mm-hmm.
Just elaborate that one a little bit.
Yeah. So colleges like to see that you're involved and that you are doing more than just going to classes and coming home and doing homework.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see that you're taking part in the community that you're a part of. So, like I said, whatever you're passionate about, whether that be sports or church or local government, school government, clubs, community service, take an active interest in that.
Okay.
But it's important to find balance. And thinking your primary responsibility as a student.
Okay.
So you still want to make sure that you do well there, but keeping the involvement in the community as part of it. And making sure you track what you do, right? So if you're involved, let's say in community service, keep track of those hours, and you can show at the end of your high school experience, hey, I've committed or I've conducted X amount of hours of community service at this organization. A lot of times those organizations are willing to write something to acknowledge all the work that you've done for them.
The third important one that you said was standardized test scores.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us something about that. What do we have? What kind of tests are we talking about?
Sure. So there's two main ones, the SAT and the ACT. So you can take both or you can take just one, but they are an important part of the college application process. I do want to mention that some colleges are actually test blind or test optional, meaning that they're giving you the option to say, I do not want to submit my SAT scores. So that is something that's part. Some colleges are incorporating to their college application process. Most colleges, however, do require the SAT or the ACT.
Okay.
The important thing with this is you just got to practice, and start early. So even though most students only submit the scores that they take their senior year, I advise students to start taking it as soon as their junior year so that they're comfortable with the test. And by the time they're taking it their senior year to submit, they are more familiar, more comfortable, and have trained their mind to take that test.
Do you have to pay to take this test or no?
You do have to pay to take the test. However, if you qualify for free or reduced lunch, there are often waivers that are available for you to help you pay for the exam. There's plenty of practice tests that you can either get through a book or find online or get through your college counselor. So there's different ways to still practice the test without paying to take the official test multiple times.
Great. And the fourth one that we spoke about was writing an essay.
Mm-hmm.
What should be the content in the essay? What are they looking for in the essay?
So most college applications, so the Common App is one that many colleges use actually, and it has a personal statement part of the application. There's usually between 4 to 5 different prompts. So they're looking to see how well of a writer are you. Do you answer the prompt or do you go off topic? Do you proofread your writing, and is it correct grammatically, spelling? Is there a thesis? Does it flow? This is why it's important that you have an English teacher or a teacher in general look at the writing and read it and revise it after you've completed it. But they want to see a little bit more about you, right? So thinking about what is it that they're already going to get about me? They're going to get my grades. They're going to get my extracurriculars. They're going to get some teacher recommendations. Maybe this is an opportunity to think, what else is there about you? Maybe how you've overcome a struggle, how you've how you have addressed a complicated situation or an obstacle. How have you made a change in your community? This is an opportunity to share some of that stuff that wouldn't be shared elsewhere in your application. So they want to see a little bit more about you. So be creative, share something about you, but make sure that it's well written and it stays on the prompt.
So, and the last one you mentioned, number 5, was the letter of recommendation from a teacher. What do they write, and who should I ask if I'm a student?
So you should ask a teacher who knows you well.
Okay.
And who's going to write you a strong recommendation.
Okay.
If you have barely talked to this teacher, let's say you didn't do that well in their class, you didn't talk to them, chances are they might not be able to write you a really strong letter recommendation. So this is also something to be thoughtful about, that you really want to develop strong relationships with your teachers early on in your high school career. Because if you get to your senior year and you didn't really develop any strong relationships, then you're going to be struggling to find somebody to write you a really good letter recommendation. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're in your freshman, sophomore, junior year. Develop good relationships with your teachers. Now, you want to pick a teacher who maybe can speak to some of your strengths and can speak to why you are ready to go to college and you'll be a great college student. Now, a couple of things that when you've selected that teacher, when you've had that person in mind, ask them, will you be comfortable writing me a letter recommendation? Hopefully they say yes. Make sure that you give them ample notice. So if the deadline is December 1st, don't ask them November 25th, right? So ask them at least 3-4 weeks in advance.
Does every university require this letter of recommendations?
I have seen some universities that actually don't require a letter of recommendation as part of their application. However, they're always willing to read one. So even if they don't require it, they'll still accept it. Most colleges, though, will require that you send at least one letter of recommendation. And even in that, you can still submit more than one. So this can be a great opportunity too. Let's say the extracurricular thing that you're involved in, the leader of that organization, maybe it's a full-time staff member or something like that, someone like that, they can also write a letter of recommendation for you to talk about some of your strengths outside of the classroom. And that can be a supplemental one too.
Okay. So let's say this student has all these papers ready. When is he or she going to submit? To how many universities should that person apply?
Sure. So we talk about applying to different colleges.
Okay.
There's 3 types of colleges you want to apply to. There's your first type is your safety school. So this is a college that you're pretty sure when you look at what they're evaluating, the typical student, right? They'll say our average SAT score is this, the average GPA is this range. These are some of the criteria. You feel very, very confident that you should get accepted into this university. That's your safety school. You want to have at least one of those schools. And then I also encourage students to think about what's a financially safe school for me too. So maybe that safety school, it's safe, but you are also worried about how you're going to pay for that school. So you might want to add a second safety school that you also feel very comfortable that financially we can make it work and I can pay for it. So no question, I can get admitted and I can also pay for my way through that college.
Okay.
Or get aid to finance my way through that college. So that's the first kind of bucket of colleges, your safe schools. You want to have about 1 or 2 of those.
Okay.
Then the second bucket is your medium, your reach schools. Let's say medium schools. So these are schools where you're pretty competitive, right? When you look at the admission criteria, when you look at the average students who get accepted into this school, you fit right in there, right? You're not way high above, you're not lower, you fit right in. So most likely you'll get accepted, but there's a chance that you might not get accepted. So it's kind of your medium reach. There's a so-so chance. You should apply to about 2-ish schools in that bucket. Then your final bucket is your reach. These are like your dream schools. You would love to get there. You have a strong application, but because of their admission, their selection rate, you really don't know if you're going to get. These are, schools like the Ivy League schools, the very elite selective schools. So you could have about 1 or 2 in that bucket. Now, what I stress here is all these applications have a fee.
Okay.
So really thinking about, if you qualify for waivers, great. How many waivers are you going to get? But also having a conversation and think, how much money can I put forth in my college applications, right? And really determining how many numbers of colleges you're going to apply to in each bucket, thinking about how much money do you have to spend for it, and then making that decision about how many schools. But you want to have a good number in your safety, a good number, at least 1 or 2 in your safety, around 2 in that medium bucket, and then 1 or 2 in that final reach. But also thinking about what your budget is. So also when you're thinking about what colleges you want to apply to, you want to really think about what's the best fit for you as a person. So what's important to you, right? Do you know what you want to major in? Do you know what you want to study? It's okay if you don't, but thinking about what does this college offer and what is it that I need to be successful? Mm-hmm. So this is when I tell students, really think about, are you ready to be far away from home? Or maybe you want to be close to home. You want to go to a local university because you need that support from your family and your community. Or maybe you need to go to a specific school that's best for your major. But really thinking about, what do you need? What's important to you? So even writing it out. What is important to me as a student? Do I need to have, for the size of the university, the location of the university, what support and resources are available at the university? Really being thoughtful and writing all those out. And when you decide on what those colleges are that you're going to apply to, how does it match up alongside what's important to you and what's necessary for you to be successful? So one of the reasons why a lot of students choose to stay and go attend a local university and stay at home is that it saves them a lot of money. And especially when you can find a university that fits all the things that you need and is local, that's an opportunity for you to save some money for lodging, for different fees that are going to be a part of the college experience if you attend a university where you have to stay on campus. And you have the support of your family and of your community. So that can be one reason why you choose to stay at a local university. But really, again, thinking about what is it that you need, and what are some ways that you can benefit from different campuses that provide different things.
When you're 18, you're considered like an adult in the U.S. But in reality, even when I was 18, I didn't mature enough.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's good that students go out, but if they are local with their parents, they can mature within the 4 years that they have in the campus. They can be commuting to their house, and they can eat even their mother's injera. To end this session, I would like to ask you about someone who did not do well. Really, we make mistakes. Like this student was not pushing himself hard or was not scoring really well, but he wants to join university. What can he do?
Yes, so exactly. There are a lot of students who, by the time that they graduate from high school, for whatever reason, high school didn't go well for them, so they're not ready to enter a 4-year university. That's perfectly okay. But if you still have the desire to go to university, to further your education, a local community college is a great option. Oftentimes these will openly admit all students, so you can get in regardless of what your GPA, your SAT score is. And you can take college level courses that are going to provide you with more support and are aimed at preparing you to transfer to a 4-year institution. That's a great option.
Thank you so very much for your time.